The senator from Virginia.
Mr. President, I ask that the quorum call be terminated.
Without objection, so ordered.
I ask unanimous consent to speak as if in morning business.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we are debating a lot of great long-term issues here in this body, and I want to speak for a short period of time today about something sort of on the other end of the political spectrum, but something that I believe really is an issue, a small issue, a private bill that all of us should come together on in rather quick measure. You know, every now and then there comes an issue that tells us a lot about who we are and how we live up to our promises, great and small, and particularly the promises that we make to those who step forward and place their lives on the line in order to carry out the policies that we ourselves put into place. I think, like all of the members of this body, I would take a back seat to no one in my affection and support for the people who've stepped forward and served our country. I come from a family that has a long citizen soldier tradition. I had several ancestors, direct ancestors, who fought in the American Revolution, and we have participated as citizen soldiers in just about every war since then. My colleagues know how strongly I feel about the United States Marine Corps. I had the great privilege of commanding Marines in combat in Vietnam. My brother was a Marine, my son is a Marine, my son-in-law is a Marine. And many of my colleagues know of my long association with the people of Okinawa, beginning almost 41 years ago when I first was there as a Marine on my way into Vietnam, but continuing as a journalist, as a government official, as a tourist, as a guest of the government. And as most of my colleagues know, in my non-government service, I principally made my living as a writer, as a novelist. All of these issues sort of dovetail in this private bill that I and the two senators from Tennessee are introducing today. In the first novel that I wrote, which was about the Vietnam War, a subplot was about a young Marine who fell in love with an Okinawan girl and who, after being wounded, went back into Vietnam, had left her with child, and was killed. And she, not knowing this, had borne the burden of carrying his son without having been formally married to this young Marine. Flash forward 40 years to the future into a different war, and we have a situation that I believe needs some prompt action on our part. This private bill is not asking for any favors, not asking for any special consideration. It's simply asking that the young widow of a Marine be treated like any other widow. Sergeant Michael Fursky, who was a 22-year-old Marine, had been serving in Okinawa and had met Hotaru Nakama. They had dated for a year before he deployed to Iraq. Just before he deployed, they found out that she was with child. They had, by all independent verifications, agreed that they would be married before they discovered that she had been with child. He deployed to Iraq, and due to the circumstances of his combat time, they arranged to be married by telephone on July 10th, 2008, when he was in Iraq. 1 month later to the day, he was killed. That marriage is a marriage that is recognized, including here in the state of Virginia, as a valid marriage. And yet, because of an idiosyncrasy in our immigration laws that dates back 55 years, the Department of Homeland Security, for immigration purposes, will not recognize this marriage. This quirk in the law was put into place during the Korean War in order to prevent fraudulent marriages that had never been consummated. But clearly, in this case, this is a marriage that could not be consummated because this young man was serving our country in Iraq. They have a child. Every agency of the United States government has done everything they can on this young widow's behalf. She is staying with the young Marine's family in Tennessee on a tourist visa. The Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, the United States Marine Corps, all have been as helpful as they can be in assisting this Marine's young widow in her desire to have permanent immigration status in this country. There is no way that it can happen under present law because of the peculiarities of the law. There's only one way that it can happen, and that is if we pass a special bill that will do only one thing, and that is to give her the exact status that she would have had if they had been standing next to each other when they exchanged their vows of marriage. And there's only one reason that they were not standing next to each other when they exchanged their vows of marriage, and that is because he was serving his country in Iraq. So I earnestly hope that all of this body and the other body can come together and remove this idiosyncrasy from the lives of these people who have suffered so much because Michael Fershke, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, stepped forward and did what we asked him to do and served our country. And with that, I would yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.